Why are we okay with pursuing someone who isn't pursuing us? Why are we okay with being interested in someone who isn't interested in us, who isn't right for us? Well, I think it's because we've grown to assume that two-way love doesn't exist immediately in a relationship. We think that disinterest, unreturned feelings, lack of enthusiasm is a normal part of a relationship. We've come to think that we need to overcome those things by fighting even harder for the relationship with more of our effort, more of our interest, more of us. But once we realize why we do this, that's how we break free of chasing other people. So, have you ever found yourself trapped in a cycle of being interested in people who simply aren't right for you? Those are people who are unavailable, aren't ready, aren't interested in you, aren't seriously looking at all, whatever it may be. I think it's the most human experience ever to just be interested in someone who isn't right for us. But why do we do this? Why are we interested in people who aren't interested in us? Why do we take it a step further, and why do we pursue people who aren't interested in us? At a glance, I'd say the easy answer is we're simply not aware we're doing it. Sometimes we're just so eager as humans that we're blind to the fact that we're the one with all the enthusiasm. We're the one doing everything. I think that happens a lot in life. But if you find yourself in those scenarios often, doing the chasing, convincing, being the interested one, being the initiator, it's a good opportunity to go deeper and understand why. And I think the real no BS answer to the question of why we go after people who aren't interested in us, who aren't available, who aren't right for us, is because we've developed an upside down understanding of love. We've grown to assume that we have to earn someone's love, and not just earn it, but fight and scrap for it and win it. We've grown to assume that clean, simple, two-way love doesn't exist. We expect that we have to lead the charge and do some convincing in order to receive that love. And so we've come to think of things like disinterest and unreturned feelings and lack of enthusiasm as a normal part of a relationship. We've come to think that we need to overcome those things by fighting harder, by digging in, giving more of us, more of our effort, more of our interest, more of our intention. And that is why we're okay with fighting for someone who doesn't fight for us. That's why we're okay with pursuing someone who isn't pursuing us. That's why we're okay with being interested in someone who isn't interested in us, because we think that's how it's supposed to be. And obviously, no love is easy. Certainly, there's always going to be a bit of a balance early on. There's going to be maybe misalignment early on. And yeah, dating ultimately is about pitching yourself in the same way that they're pitching to you. But somehow, we've developed an understanding that love should never ever be easy. We've come to think that it's something you always have to fight for from the beginning, and that convincing someone is just part of the game because you have to win. That's how you get the love that you want. We think that convincing someone else is part of that process. And that is the assumption that keeps us in this game for too long, a game where we have no business being in. That is, being interested in someone who isn't truly interested in us. We think it's part of the process. And we might very well be aware of this fact, but we're still hesitant to act on it. Why is that? Well, maybe it's because we're trying to distract ourselves from the bigger issue, which is that we struggle to love ourselves in the first place. I mean, what better distraction is there? What better distraction from doing that kind of inner work is there than pursuing someone else? Sometimes we pursue other people who aren't interested in us, as a defense mechanism because we struggle to love ourselves fully. Because let's be real, if we truly loved ourselves fully, we'd stop when someone has made it clear they're not choosing us. We'd stop when we realize that we're chasing someone. But the fact that we don't, the fact that we keep moving forward, that is evidence that we have some inner work to do. You're willing to show up for someone else, but you're not willing to show up for yourself? Yeah. That's you, that's me, that's us avoiding taking a good hard look in the mirror because it's the perfect distraction to focus on them and not you. So again, why do we do this? Well, maybe we're afraid to realize that we don't love ourselves as much as we should. Maybe we're more comfortable with the truth like we have to win what we want in life. Maybe we're more comfortable with those kinds of truths rather than the one we need to embrace, which is that you deserve good love and good people, and you should never have to convince someone to want something more with you. You should never have to convince someone to want something more with you. Recognizing that is how you regain your love for yourself. That is how you change your understanding of love as a one-way street you eventually win, to understanding that it should be a two-way street from the beginning. That is how you learn to love yourself again. You look inward and you realize that you can make a choice. You can change the assumptions you've made about the world around you. You can change the examples you look to. You can change what you put up with. You simply change the standard you've set for yourself from one of, this is how it's supposed to be, I have to earn their interest, I have to convince them to want what I want, from that to a very simple, hey, this is who I am, and if they're not interested, I'm not interested. This is who I am. If they're not interested, I'm not interested. When that's your mentality, you're living your life and you're simply respecting yourself. You're hitting reset on what you deserve. You free yourself up to actually go out and get it. You simply say, this is who I am, and if they're not interested, I'm not interested.